Okay, let me get this straight. Because it needs to be said, in a slim hope that it breaks some individuals' programming, and we all have our programs that we run in our minds. We all have belief systems, habits are run by these programs as well. And some of them are good, positive, progressive programs that can help us progress individually while helping others progress individually. I mean, take for example promotion in the work environment. It's helping you progress, but it makes you more useful to your work colleagues, hopefully. And there's a lot of that grey area, depending on who you're working for. In that, I guess, yeah, you don't want people to abuse your newfound skills and just lay all the work on you. People say there's no I in team. Well, there's a me in it as well. Regardless, let me get this straight. People run these programs, and some of these programs are instilled in them from cult leaders. The first thing a cult leader does tells you everybody is wrong except for the leader. Follow me. I mean, that's an emotional thing. It's like it's looking for confused individuals with low esteem. So already they're vulnerable. Then the cult leader, well, he's looking for that ideal mindset in that vulnerability, and not really looking for those who follow. They can lead, but just looking for victims to make them look good and big them up. Because they're narcissistic individuals usually anyway, cult leaders. So let's say a cult leader ends up being in prison for committing crimes against the state, the laws of a particular country, or even laws everywhere in the world, whatever it might be. And they start live streaming from their prison. And the followers still support him, despite breaking the law, despite being very questionable. And that's what you've got to look up to. You think that's powerful, looking up to an individual who's begging for clicks and views in a live stream, let's say through the internet, while in prison? That's what you want to be, is it? Is that you're following that individual? But then the excuses and the cognitive dissonance may kick in, say, no, you're not following that unfortunate circumstance or that individual. They're following the advice. How is it that they got good advice to life experience but ended up in prison anyway? Connect the dots. So these devout followers of Andrew Tate, for instance, that's what you got to look up to, is a loser in prison and can't really do much other than live stream begging for the attention, because that's what Crave's on, because he needs those cult followers who were victimized. They are victims, not people he supports. He wants them to support him and only him, because he's right and everybody is wrong, right? Or so he would tell you from the get-go, and it's only those who are very confused, with low self-esteem to start with, who are going to fall for that, because this is somehow different. And people are sick and tired of the same old, and repetition in the backdrop against things that are different. And that's another variable that the narcissist will use. The very first time Donald Trump got presidency, yes, I know he's not president right now, but if he gets presidency, so just if he comes back, that's a massive advert to the whole world. America has no standards that it will break and stoop lower to. You have no standards. Get a standard and build on it and make it a foundation to build America great. Why do you have to make it great again if it's so great in the first place? There's a lot of mental gymnastics there. So Donald Trump, the very first thing he told everyone is everybody's wrong. All the politicians are wrong. But he's different because he's a businessman. That's a stupid thing to say. Why? Well, think about it. What is a politician? What else could you call a politician? They sell you the ideas. They want to be supported for their ideas and put these ideas into practice. A politician does that. They want to monetize their ideas. It's a business. A government is a business. Ergo, politicians are businessmen and women. Businesswomen, businessmen. So how was Donald Trump any different, really, to any regular politician? He's even worse, comparatively to some, I would say. But there's too much self-interest going on in all countries with politicians, but especially in America. What encourages the self-interest mostly, I see it right across Europe and in the UK from where I'm from, people vote for a party. They don't vote for the individual. They don't vote for, whereas your case, you voted for either Hillary or Donald Trump before Biden got in, and you voted, and the votes went to, and it's a popularity contest. I feel like Boris Johnson in the UK played on that popularity contest mindset a bit too much by being a bit lovable, bumbling, comical kind of individual, but here and there, just to advertise, look, I'm something different, and people are sick and tired of the boring same old, like I said. But they prey on that. Individuals prey on that. The very first thing these cult followers will do when there are questions about their activity is like, no, we're smart. We can't be brainwashed. We can't be hypnotized. And yet the very first thing they're saying is the first thing that their cult leader says to them. The Trump followers, Trump's not going to prison. I don't know what media you're watching, but let me pause here a second. The authorities are cutting the grass outside. There's a lot of public hedgerow area and overgrowth that needs cutting. And I don't know if you could hear it on the microphone. It's kind of over the top of my voice, but yeah, so it's distracting me a bit. But a perfect example. The first thing that these individuals say is like, don't know what media you're watching, but Trump's not going to prison. Why? What are you doing? You're the first to accuse people of believing media, which I understand on one very basic superficial level. And that superficial level is media can't be trusted 100%. There's a lot of erroneous approach. There's a lot of political biasness as well. Leaning too much one way or the other. I mean, really, politically, the media should be just reporting the facts, reporting information, but they're biased. They're, politically favouring one way or the other. So that's difficult though for individuals who are in a system of favouring one or the other, who read these news channels, or people who run these channels. So it's difficult for them, by the very nature of human nature, to be like stick to just the facts and without colouring your worldview with just your emotion. But these cult leaders prey heavily on the emotion without any specific details. Trump was very, very professional at pulling those emotional strings, but screw the details. Keep them and keep the followers entertained, keep them consuming, but facts don't matter. That's perfect for the American way, right? And I don't mean that in a positive way either. It's beyond sickening the level at which the world has had rammed down their throats. America's so great. When now America are finally getting it, understanding why the world was sick of that. Why do you need all that boasting if it's so great? People would just know. They wouldn't have to try and convince them if it was that amazing. If it's that powerful and above all progress in any other country, then why not just live in America? Screw anywhere else. Only America's best, right? And yet people are leaving America, the smartest and the richest who can afford to, are setting up elsewhere. Some are going to Switzerland. Some are going, just elsewhere, right across Europe, places as well. But you're so dumbed down, you're gonna be just annoying just by just being who you are in these other countries. But integrate, and you'll be welcomed, I'm sure. It's a very nuanced way of these titles. United States, United Kingdom. We're not united in the United Kingdom. It doesn't matter how small a bit of land you got, there's always going to be separation, tribal kind of attributes, particularly if there's a history of conflict at all, and that, generation after generation, it sort of influences how things are done. Regardless, have you said it? Are you a Trump follower? Are you a Tate fan? Have you, like Trump followers, have you said it? It's like, I don't know what media you're watching, but, and you put the but in there, Trump's not going to prison. Why? Tell me why. See, where I was going, that the critical analysis of this media, are you even beginning to try and do that, think critically, or are you just below that and only a primitive emotional ape without higher thinking? Higher thinking involves separating the wheat from the chaff, the truth from the nonsense in these media outlets, and piecing together your own coherent picture. Because you don't really have a coherent picture. Nobody really does from all the media. You put all that together because there is lies, biasness, and political biasness in all these media outlets. But there's, read between the lines and separate it. You got something far more professional, collectively extracted, usually. Some of them can be eliminated, I guess. But far more professional than what you're being presented, firstly superficial. So if you're just following the monkey see, monkey do mindset without critical thinking, you see media as bias, erroneous, self-important, don't care too much about the facts. You see that, don't pay attention. Along comes somebody who promises to be different, and they do a few things that make it look like they're different, but they're actually self-interested to target non-critical thinking, just responsive thinking, just primitive emotional, response. Yeah. So there you go. You got people, again, you see the media, they ditch that. They don't really think too much about it. They ditch it. They see this different person promises a bit different. Give them a go. Again, your impulsive behavior, right? Critical thinking. That's going to appeal to the cult leaders, because they don't want you to think outside of that which they claim to be thinking outside of, and breaking, like in the case of Tate, he's broke the matrix. He copied just a bunch of lines and character traits from the film The Matrix, in which The Matrix is the first one is an interesting film in appealing to anti-authoritarian thought processes, which I agree. I have some anti-authoritarian traits as well, because human nature cannot be trusted. If you give absolute power to somebody, it's going to corrupt absolutely. Thinking about details. If somebody tells you they've met, let's say, this scientist working on stem cell research. Now, so you meet somebody and they say the word stem cell research, then you think, well, they're using the terminology, and then they say what they're doing with it in order to advance healing, maybe, in people. The stem cells are actually cells that can become any other cell in the human body and other animals anyway. So they're doing that for health. So the individual talks about stem cells and what they are, and they also say it's shown to, if they're specific, let's say it's shown great promise for growing skin for skin grafts, and it's more compatible to the bodies because it's their own stem cells that this has been made out of, so it doesn't get rejected. So it's good for burn victims, this and that. There are details here, and they give you a budget. They talk about the budget, how much money is involved for the technology to analyze this and get skin grafts grown for patients, what's involved with that, specifics, how many petri dishes you need to start a skin cell growth from the stem cells started off, whatever things, how the skin's treated before how they keep it alive, specifics. And they tell you they've met some of them, and they tell you their names. They tell you their names and which one's qualified for which part in that group. Now you've got somebody you can trust, because the details that you trust way more than somebody coming along like Trump always did, talking during his whole term, actually, but particularly in his early days. He'd say things like, whatever team they're working on something, he would say things that they're a great team, dedicated, perfect example of American passion. I know some of them, I've met some of them. Great team, really good team, dedicated. They're on their way for progress. It's really good what they're doing. They work hard, and it's great for America. I'm going to be supporting these. What did that really tell you? It told you nothing other than emotional talk that they're great, they're dedicated, it's going to be great for America. But it told you nothing. It educated you on absolutely nothing. And the first people to claim that Trump is not godlike, something different, or really something to follow our emotional way too much of the time versus critical thinking. Use your brain, learn something new, challenge yourself mentally, right? If you don't challenge yourself mentally in whatever area you just, there's no progress. And yet, when there's no progress, you feel like everything's too much the same. For things to be different, it's you that needs to change, not the world. Followers of Trump will want to change the world before they change, but as the next individuals following Trump who think the same. If we all thought like Trump followers, nothing would ever get done because we're expecting change when we're not doing it ourselves. Practical application of ideas that are educated with critical thinking of the who, the what, why, when, and where of any subject matter is a way forward. Practical physical application of that knowledge. There is no practical application of knowledge by banning abortions and somehow thinking that makes things pro-life. So you might be emotionally thinking, well, you're killing a baby, you're thinking emotionally, but you're not thinking about a condition known as a ectopic pregnancy. This is where the pregnancy doesn't really go into the womb as much. It's stuck in one of the fallopian tubes, and the baby attaches in there. This will kill the baby, but it also kill the mother, but they need the abortion to keep the mother alive. Or ban abortions and you're murdering these people, and then you're claiming to be pro-life because you're not educated with something that requires a bit more critical thinking to be applied in practical application with the science and the doctors, how to perform the abortion and so on. You're saving people's lives, but states in America are banning abortions. And these laws are written by individuals colored by religiosity. And they're the type of people that are very emotional as well. Like I said, if you lack the critical thinking, you're not really going to follow through with the appliance of the science of medical industry, right? And again, even in the medical industry, there's self-interest. Some drug industries, pharmacy, would rather the drugs go out there regardless of things leaning more and more towards a cure that aren't necessarily drugs, but there's a lot of snake oil salesmen are saying that with no science to back up this stuff, is saying, hey, take this herb, you'll be cured. So really, this is why critical thinking is necessary. This is why the information through the media is necessary to take in through a filter, a critical thinking analysis, proper analysis, not just me thinking analytically, but I do like to analyze. And this is why one of the things I think analysis is incredibly important. I didn't call this Jack's analysis to boast. I called it analysis to emphasize on how important and that analytical thinking is, because if you're just repeating what somebody else said, oh, can't trust the mainstream media, and ends there. I mean, you all say that, I say it, but no, very few. It feels like few. Maybe it's the numbers are 50-50. I don't know, but the noisy, emotional ones make it look like everyone's like it. They make so much noise, but the critical thinkers are quiet because they're thinking. they're not emotionally driven and opening their mouth and shouting and talking too much. If you're talking and not listening, it's a problem. When you need to be listening, if you're not speaking up against something like banning abortions, it's a problem when you're not speaking up and educating people. And this is the bullshit, the low IQ, the low esteem, the low confidence that Trump, Andrew Tate, those are the people he preys on, uses you as a tool for a means to their own ends. Again, do you really think this is something really to look up to? Your leader, your king, your alpha male full of advice is in prison begging for clicks and views over the internet. Get out the fucking front door. Get outside. Hell, even leave your mobile phone at home. And you're going to feel weird for a bit leaving that at home. Some of you, because you're so addicted to anything, any object, inanimate or whatever that you're that attached to, you're going to feel like something's missing. Like there's a limb taken off or something or other. There's a problem with that. What do you really need the mobile phone for? What, taking pictures? Fine, you can do that with a camera. Sending message? Well, you can talk to people. Is it really that important? You can send a message when you get home. The way we're using technology is, and the corporations condone the way we use technology, is because they are kind of prey on the emotional level as well. The only way we can stop dwindling into chaos here is stop giving power to the bullshit and the sociopaths that control those that are experts in the emotional string pulling. Mark Zuckerberg, expert who formed this company Facebook and Meta, whatever, they knew from day one how to get it to be addictive, but it's the American way. Get them addicted, get them consuming, capitalize on that, but you don't want them to know too much because they'll be free otherwise. Tell you what we do, get them addicted and consuming, and can keep telling them this is America, the land of the free. Because if they cotton on that they're really a slave to consumerism and entertainment without any higher thinking of facts or anything leaning to facts or anything new, then you might have trouble. You might be losing out on monetization of these victims that they need to keep these companies going. Wave a flag absolutely everywhere. Get groups, go out and chant USA, USA. And that doesn't sound like patriotism to the rest of the world. That sounds like an angry mob. Misdirected anger. Very misdirected, but direct. I mean, some of the ways in which people like Trump would divide and conquer. Tell you that he's doing something really different. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. Same thing. Talk a load of bullshit. Fill in the gaps with emotional talk. And you get self-convinced that Trump was something different then because your emotions are high now. You're just riling up a dumb crowd. That's all you're doing. A bunch of primates are acting up because they lost a banana. This is what it seems like. And encouragement of idiocy, encouragement of ignorance, encouragement of a lack of knowledge is encouraged in America. It's like some individual will come along and say, "This is how dumb I am, but I managed to do this and this." That was whatever this and this might be. It was like a really positive thing. Some are allowed to be dumb now. You know, people. Yeah, I used to think Joe Rogan was fairly cool, but then looking at different things, he just blurts out a load of crap, and a lot of it's very misinformed. He's one that kind of celebrate his own ignorance. He says like, "No, I'm a dumbass," and I've said that about myself here and there. I'm not proud of it though. You know, I'm not proud. I'm not proud of my ignorance here and there, where I struggle to understand certain things. It's an admittance rather than a pride thing. You know, I don't regret anything I've ever done though either, and that's a problem with people who, I guarantee, if you're a devout Trump follower, you're also an individual who's regretted some things you've done. Why? Why are you going to regret? Everything I've ever done has equaled who I am today. When you regret all that ingredients or variables of that ingredients that made you who you are today, you're hating yourself right now, in the now, because now is all we got. Not tomorrow or yesterday or, oh, I shouldn't have done that yesterday, yada yada, or I really, worrying about tomorrow, how you look or whatever for a meeting or whatever. Now is all you got, and when you're thinking about tomorrow or yesterday, you're doing that right now. You're getting overly emotional about it. It's too easy, actually. When we have this vicious circle of confusion, which is only going to get worse the longer we give power to those who keep putting in emotional strings without actual facts. I really do think right across the world, leaders, especially presidential and prime minister leaders all over the world, really need to be given some kind of test before they're even allowed. IQ, maybe an IQ test, but IQ test a little bit nuanced because it doesn't really necessarily cover for different types of intelligence, although they're changing that a little bit here and there. My spatial awareness comes out pretty good, as well as analytical thinking does come out fairly high on mine, but I'm not trying to be cocky about it. Maybe I'm got good at it because I enjoy it, but there's other things that are below average for most. But these some of these tests though, they're just fun things. They're not legit. Some of them are legit, like BMI. I've done one of those. When you do the Mensa ones, they're super difficult because Mensa really is a bunch of egotistic punks saying, "Hey, look how intelligent we are," but they're just extremely linear thinkers and not really that creative. We need creativity in the world to move beyond just substandard emotional thinking. But we also need critical, linear, analytical thinking to go along with the creativity, otherwise you just got chaos. It might be very creative to dream up a theme park based on young Earth creationism in America, but it's dangerous to claim any of that is fact. At the Earth's a couple of thousand years old, why is it dangerous? Or if you're dumb enough to think it's not dangerous, it's just a bit of entertainment, you're already part of the problem. Because kids are going to school, learning that the Earth's millions of years old, and then parents are taking kids to these theme parks. So which is it? admit where the line's drawn. Fiction's fiction, truth is truth, right? And sure, some fictional stories can be based on some truths in the world. That's what's inspired the creativity to start with. Creativity is taken, a large part of creativity is taking real things but combining it in combinations and arrangements which doesn't exist in the real world. That's a great expertise of the human brain. We can play with the information and create something new there. So, are you that pathetic? Because I see it as very, very pathetic. Trump followers. I warn people last year, a couple of years ago, Trumpism is going to become a religion. And people were saying, nah, America's gone a bit crazy, but they're not that bad. Next thing we know, there's pictures being thrown around the internet and articles showing. And again, you could say, oh, maybe that was just made up story. Don't know, people wouldn't do that. Yeah, really, I think it's legit. And where I'm going was like people were being baptized in the name of Trump. Golden statue made out of Trump. This is a cult. MAGA cult. And no cult claiming to make America great again that is so damn noisy is going to achieve anything because they're too busy trying to prove there's something rather than getting the fuck on with doing something about issues that I've already discussed, like ectopic pregnancy. There's one of many issues. A socialized healthcare system, not this crap that Obama tried to pull on the people. That's awful. Anyway, who could afford that? But these are things that you would do better with. I'm not saying it just because the UK has a socialized healthcare system. Any socialized healthcare system will suffer here and there because nothing is perfect. It can get overrun and too busy. We're seeing that with NHS. But we do have, if you can afford it, the ability to go private as well as use the NHS. So they're cutting the grass again here, and you may hear it in the background. It's louder for me than you probably hear it. They're just going to and fro, and it's a little bit noisy. It's got to be done though. It's nice to have everything maintained around this area. They're cutting back, and once they've done it, it looks nice and neat, clean, well kept. And it's taxpayers' money goes towards that, right? It's not a private thing, not a private company, which we all pay for. We pay for council tax. The council are doing this, cleaning the area up, which is just a routine thing that happens now and then, like, particularly through the summer. A lot of growth from the plants. So, what do you really think that's something to look up to? Is Andrew Tate in prison? That's a life, is it? Spending months in prison, live streaming over the internet, begging for views, asking your fans things, answering questions. Great. Is that what you want to be? Because he's doing it. He's the one who supposedly has all this amazing advice to become the alpha male. I don't find that very confident. I don't feel very confident following an individual that is going to have whose actions and reactions in the world has led him to a prison in Romania with nothing more than 2 bunk beds he's in with his brother, I think. And the food is given, food is supplied when it's food time, feeding time. It's not food you're choosing in your live stream. Yeah, what a great role model, really. Yeah, great, yeah. But this is the thing, it doesn't matter what these cult leaders do or where they end up. You're so brainwashed, you're going to copy them anyway. It wouldn't matter if Trump murdered somebody today or killed somebody. There's still going to be a number of hardcore Trump followers who want to copy him and would want to murder somebody if he murdered somebody, if Trump did that. Now, you could argue that Trump's never going to do that. That's not, he doesn't have it in him, but I wonder what he does have in him in terms of what levels he's going to stoop to just to get the victims following him who he can brainwash with the emotional string pulling, the emotional talk. Again, first thing that cult leader does, make sure that he puts out there that everybody's wrong except for him or her. In this case, it's him. And just keep running with that. They're all wrong. I mean, he said they're all the mainstream media are wrong, and a lot of the words that blurted out from his followers is all the mainstream media wrong, because Trump said so. You know, it's just again, yes, they're biased. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but they're biased and this and that. I mean, there's no higher thinking than here when you just say they're all wrong. But he preyed on that higher on the lack of higher thinking with listen to Fox News, and Fox News small print, if you want to call it that, is it admits it's more of an entertainment channel than actually a news channel or actually reporting any facts. Can't remember what it was, but Fox News said something about Trump and he didn't like it. He said, oh, he ended up flipping a 180 degree flip and said, don't, Fox News, he didn't like it. Go and listen to maybe, and he blurted out a few new channels. Then he said after that, he said, or any of all the others except for Fox News. I mean, he started off with don't listen to any, but listen to Fox News. Hillary Clinton called him out for it, and I don't like Hillary Clinton. I mean, it baffles me why anyone would, but regardless, that's an emotional thing. And you need to get past. Is there anything that Hillary has ever really done that's positive in the world? But I don't know. I kind of struggle to think because maybe I haven't seen enough. But she comes across as extremely not your best interest at heart, only her own, and comes across somewhat sociopathic and creepy. Trump comes across as very socially awkward, weird. And can we please stop doing this? Putting weird people on a pedestal. They know they're weird, they know they're weak, they know they're a loser, but that they latched onto is certain lock and key things to manipulate weak-minded people or people who are just naive because they're not so well informed. Many people, like in the case of Elon Musk, were thinking like, wow, they hear about a guy who's involved with electric cars, that's great, and hear about him here and there and things that's being worked on. Oh, good luck to them. It sounds like they're really well motivated and trying to do good in the world. Then you look a bit deeper though, without the emotional, a bit deeper You think, oh, that's a bit weird. But increasingly, Elon Musk is increasingly become unhinged. And probably I was always that unhinged, is just that it's more and more information travels through about him. The cracks didn't appear, they just more and more revealed. His obsession with the letter X, for instance, and what he's done with Twitter, and he didn't start any of these companies that he claims to. He wants you to think that he's doing this. I mean, I don't know if I would be interested if he started Neuralink, because Neuralink fascinates me. I did some videos on Neuralink, but it's not the only company that's doing anything like that. Neuralink, and but there's a creepy side to Neuralink as well. So, and DARPA have worked on brain chip interface things as well, and wrote about that with the website I had, Exploratory Minds Project. But now I'm doing this health thing over on the other channel, and there's a forum coming for all that. And again, a lot of that requires critical analysis, because there's a lot of bullshit surrounding people's health, or what is claimed to be healthy for you versus what's not. And this is why I called out the information about Ansel Keys. There's no science at all. There's no science whatsoever to support cholesterol being bad for your heart. Actually, I mean, you've heard it so many times, you might emotionally go, yes, there is. It has to be because of yada yada. Think about it, though. What do you know about it? What do you think cholesterol is? And you might go, oh, it's a fatty deposit on the inside of your veins. No, they found cholesterol in those fatty deposits, and among other things that make up the fatty deposit. But correlation is not causation. So there's a bit more, there's a step forward there for you in critical thinking. Follow through with it. Eggs are very high in cholesterol, but you put some eggs in your diet, it's actually good for your heart. Wow. Interesting. A lot of things are good for the heart. I'll be writing about those things. Good for the heart, and heart's worthy of keeping alive. I mean, that's the thing. You can have operations that take some organs out, and you're still a functioning human being. You can function with one kidney. You can have the appendix out, right? A woman can have a hysterectomy, but these things don't kill us. But if you take anything like, you might need a pacemaker or whatever, if you take the pump away, then you're in trouble, right? If the heart, we need a healthy heart. So yeah, I'll be writing about things that are good for circulation, good for the heart, they're good for preserving your nerve endings, where all the blood flow goes to, and keep those alive without, if you're getting nerve damage in the body, you might be experience a bit of numbness here and there, and how that relates to certain nutrients. Zinc, for instance, too high a level of zinc will damage the sheath that goes around your sensitive nerve endings. One example, if you have your zinc too high, tips of your fingers may go temporarily numb until it balances back out. But zinc at the right levels, very good for your hair, your skin, your sexual health. That's good, and there's many nutrients that do many things in the body. That's important as well. But details, not, oh, eat this, is good for you. An emotional thing. It must be good for me because it tastes great and all that. And yeah, that's emotional. Just impulsive, superficial thinking, which Trump followers are. They wouldn't have gone on a riot and riots at the Capitol if they weren't thinking that way. That's a problem. They don't think. They emote emotional and impulsiveness. They don't think through. They don't practice thinking through. Years of practice of willful ignorance puts people into primitive anger response. Angry, emotional response is primitive. We need it. We particularly needed it for survival during our earlier origins. Higher critical thinking, we need more of that. The problem with human nature is that we are emotional first, critical thinking second. One comes before the other. Of course, it may be sometimes that fast. You might think you do both at the same time. But you can't have one without the other, though. Because if you're passionate or emotional about something, you need to think critically about it to see what you can do about it, right? Rather than just react without the critical thinking. Like running around claiming to be pro-life when you're really not if you're condoning banning abortions. As already described, banning abortions is not pro-life because ectopic pregnancies that can happen kill the baby and kill the mother. Yeah, get a standard, build on it, and make it your foundation, and move forward instead of running round in circles, chasing your tail. That's my advice. Way above and beyond any advice that Andrew Tate might blurt out of his bullshit mouth. He's in prison. Who do you want to follow? Don't go following me. Well, yeah, like and subscribe and all that, but what you need to follow is, okay, I guess, the advice of critical thinking before emotion, but use it to improve yourself and look up to the better in you that is within your reach. Because it's within your reach, then it's doable. Because you know your limits, and give yourself a push and get over one hurdle at a time, or half a hurdle, or beginning to get around a quarter hurdle, whatever. Yeah, whatever speed is amicable and comfortable for you, as long as you're challenging yourself and pushing yourself a little bit here and there. Too much challenge, people collapse and give up. Not enough challenge, people's minds and bodies just give up. Balance. Thanks for watching. Bye. And one more thing. Andrew Tate, you're pathetic. Elon Musk, you're pathetic. Donald Trump, you're really pathetic. America, you're really pathetic in areas where you think you're great. Many Americans know that. Those are the smart ones who might be able to do something about it individually as being great people, but America as a whole, you're screwed. You're beyond the point of no return. You're going to take decades before you even come anywhere close to anywhere even remotely close to what you've tried to ram down other people's throat for decades, that you are actually so great. You never were as great as the American dream. It never happened. Stop dreaming and start fucking doing action. That doesn't mean riots in the street, breaking things. That's not progress. Learn something. Separate the wheat from the chaff in the media. Separate what looks like it's consistent with itself into a bigger picture from the media. And separate that which isn't consistent with itself. And then you've got a set of information that you might be able to move forward with. Instead of just, Oh, it's all a lie. All information's a lie. All the media's a lie. Wow. You're dumber than the average 5-year-old when you're doing that. I mean, everything's not real. It's all a lie. Thanks for watching. Bye.